Everyone, and welcome to Going Deeper. One of the things we talk about here at Crossroads is that the message that you hear on Sunday shouldn't be the end of the conversation. It should really be the beginning of the conversation. And so we want to continue the conversation and dig into what Reid was talking about this morning as we look at priorities here together in our On Your Mark series. And so I want to read the passage that he read at the beginning. It says this is Colossians chapter 1, starting in verse 15. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible. Whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything we might have the supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. That's God's word. Hey, welcome, Reid.
Hey, man.
How are you?
Good.
So the points you started off with, Jesus is first, Jesus went first, and we should put Jesus first. Talking about priorities here today,
Yeah.
and I was just kind of thinking as I was shaking my head up and down, I was thinking, this sounds so good on Sunday.
Yeah. Who doesn't vote for that?
I'm like, this is great,
Yeah, right.
you know, but then Monday happens.
Let me make sure I'm on.
And life happens, and life comes at us. You know, we've got jobs and phone calls and task lists and kids, you know, pulling on our shirts or whatever it is. And so, practically speaking, I mean, what are some ways that for people that really want to live this out, but then they struggle when Monday happens?
Yeah.
Any ideas on that?
Yeah, 100 ideas.
Yeah.
And the first being that you're normal is that this isn't a check the box, add water and stir. Now all your priorities are in line, and we hold hands and sway.
Makes me feel better.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
So first, you're normal, but second, that doesn't mean that you can't make progress, that you can't experience progress and freedom in this surrendering process. So does it mean that you have to, on Tuesday morning, get out those three things again and go, okay, Jesus is first, he went first, and I'm going to put him first.
Yeah.
Okay, let's reset again today.
Right.
So that's the second thing. The third thing I would say is that you can't do it alone. And what an appropriate Sunday for us to talk about that, as we are inviting people into community groups and allowing you to be around other people who can be reminders, who can be encouragers, who can be models. Like, that's what that looks like.
Yeah, I've
okay,
experienced that,
now I get it. And so those are the things I would say about this. Is extremely difficult. You're not weird or abnormal. It can be done, but it's done incrementally, and then you need help to do it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you said that was kind of an aha moment, it really stuck out to me, was this idea that Jesus shouldn't be on the top of your list. Jesus is the list.
Yeah.
Reminds me of an analogy I've used. I like cycling, biking, and so if you imagine a bike wheel, and there's all these spokes on a bike wheel, right? And we think oftentimes in our lives that all of those spokes are like kind of different elements, aspects, priorities in our life. We've got the family spoke, we've got the job spoke, we've got our money spoke, and then church and Jesus, that's just another spoke on the wheel, right? But Jesus should be instead the center, the axis, which everything else rotates around. This is like, paradigm shift for me. It's like Jesus is not another spoke on the wheel. Jesus is the wheel, right? And so what's the what's the risk if we miss that? If we
Yeah.
make Jesus just on the top of the list, if we make Jesus just a spoke on the wheel, what are some of the risks that we have?
Well, the one that comes to mind first that I just briefly touched on, we can unpack it here a little bit more, is this compartmentalization of your faith. That I have, let's call it the spoke. So I have, this is my Jesus spoke,
Right.
and I'm going to do whatever I do, and it is separate from my family spoke or my work spoke or my
Right.
relationships or finances or whatever the other spokes would be. And that's dangerous because it tends to lead us into a place of saying, if I do this, my Jesus spoke right, then I should get, God owes me blessing in all these other areas
Right.
that I'm acting autonomously, really, in, and I just want him to make it go well
Right.
for me.
Sure.
And that is so far from what Jesus invites us into or promises us,
Yeah.
to do. And so that's dangerous to just have it be one of many, even not the biggest one, but all of them connect to him and are useless without him. Is maybe a better way to think about it.
Yeah, and I think also, as you're saying that, it reminded me that a lot of times if we make him another spoke, not only do we assume there's going to be a blessing, but we think, you know what, how I spend my money is not connected
Right.
to how I'm living for Jesus. That's
Yeah.
a totally different thing. How I treat my kids or my wife, that's a different spoke.
Yeah.
And we can compartmentalize
Yep.
and assume that they're not connected. So we're going to work at it this week,
Yeah.
getting better at priorities as we continue to get ready for the fall to ramp up. Thanks for sticking with us. We love you. God bless. And we'll see you next week. God bless.
Take care.
Yep.